last session, we had introduction to RDBMS, where I listed all these important points connecting with RDBMS. Then we had introduction to even SQL Server. Okay, two things. Now, and especially this fifth point, client server technology. Connecting with this was the architecture yesterday I've explained you. SQL Server as client and server. So first I was talking on a standalone machine, single system. Then SQL Server 2016 release. We find SQL Server available for Windows OS, right? And in client server environment, SQL Server is always installed in Windows Server operating system. Here. In Windows Server OS, SQL Server software is installed. And clients will be installed only by tools. Yesterday, we went into a detailed discussion of it. And finally, the last stage that was discussed is from SQL Server 2017 and later releases. SQL Server is made available even on Linux server operating system. Even on Linux also, you can install your SQL Server. Right. Today, I'll continue with remaining things. Right. Sixth point. What we study is SQL Server is associated with different servers, of which for development database server is used. Database server works on database engine is used, right? So remember, an overview I'm saying, detailed things we'll discuss in my coming classes. Just remember, SQL Server is made available with actually 4 servers. Remember that. Four server. Database server, reporting server, analysis server, integration server. 4 will be there. 4. From that 4, for us, we need only one server, and that is database server. Okay? Then, 7th point, what you study is till SQL Server 2016 release, it is installed only on Windows OS. Only on Windows OS or Windows Server OS. 8th rule. From SQL Server 2017 and later releases, it can be installed on Windows Server OS as well as Linux Server OS. Thus, this is a kind of overview things related with what? SQL Server. Now, before I go to the next part of it, let me first give you a clear picture about the topics that are made available in SQL Server. I mean, the topics that we are going to learn for our course content. I'll make a list of it now. Topics of SQL Server. Right. And remember, SQL Server is actually made available with SQL. One module. One module. Second module, T-SQL, that is called Transact SQL. Okay? Two modules, right? And remember, this SQL, it consists of sub-languages. SQL, we are going to study sub-languages, right? And in that sub-languages, I'll give the list. I won't talk about them. I just make a list, right? One, DQL, DRL, DML, TCL, DDL, DCL. Yes, let me expand them. This is data query or retrieval language, data manipulation language, transaction control language, data definition language, data control language. Yes, sub-languages SQL contains, plus something to study under SQL is, now I make a list here. I make a list. Under SQL, I'm saying. What is it? Now remember, under SQL, we are going to learn about SQL objects. Yeah. What you're going to learn? SQL objects under SQL. What are they? One is called synonyms. Right? Second is called, first we'll write the sequence the way we follow. First, we'll talk about constraints. Tables, constraints, synonyms, sequences, views, indices. Yes. So in SQL, how many divisions we have? Two. What are those divisions? One division is about sub-languages. Second division is about SQL objects. Two divisions. Under sub-languages, how many we are going to study? 5. DQL, DML, TCL, DDL, and DCL. And under SQL objects, total 6 topics we cover. Tables, constraints, synonyms, sequences, views, and what? Indices. You call them as SQL objects. After that, I go with T-SQL. And what for T-SQL? I'll mention here. Deals with programming, coding. And in T-SQL, remember, we have 2 types of coding. One is called anonymous block or nameless block or unnamed block. 3 names: anonymous block, nameless block, unnamed block. That includes basic programming, exception handling, then cursors. 3 topics. Three. Under anonymous, I'm saying. Under anonymous block programming, how many are there? 3 topics. Yeah. After that, we go with stored block or named block programming. Named block. And in this, we have these all: stored procedures, stored functions, stored triggers, stored procedures, stored functions, stored triggers. 3 topics are there. Okay. And third one is also there, but that will be helpful only for .NET people, .NET developers. For them only it will be suitable. That is called CLR integration. Third module you get. CLR integration. That is for who? For .NET developers. CLR integration. That includes called CLR procedures we have, CLR functions we have, CLR triggers we have. So we got all of them. But compulsory knowledge of .NET is must. Then only you will be in a position to understand CLR integration. Without a knowledge of .NET, it is something next to impossible to understand those things. About what? CLR integration. Okay, is this clear? Ashutosh, Raju, and Mohan, do you understand what exactly that we are going to study in this SQL Server course?
Yes.
Yes, yes. CLR, yeah, I'll say. Common Language Runtime, we say. Okay, CLR. Shall I write here? Common Language Runtime, CLR, integration. Okay. Okay. Right. Yeah. Now, I'll just make a list of features here. Features of SQL Server. And remember, it's not related to any specific version. General features I'm writing. Okay. General features. Right. And in what way? One feature provides high security, provides high performance. 3, provides high availability. 4, provides high scalability. 5, supports XML. Yes, these are general features. Version to version, lot of new things Microsoft has introduced in various versions. Like if you notice, if you focus, 2005 made some new exclusive features were added. 2008 made some new features added. 2012 made some features. 14 made some features. 16 I'm not saying all features are only for developers. No, only developers what they need, those features only I'll highlight. Only those features. Okay, and the features that are related to administrator, features related to business intelligence. I won't talk them in our class. Only developer needs what exclusive features they added for developer, those features I'll highlight. But these are general features, not related to any specific version. Okay. Huh. And one more thing also I'll highlight. Editions of SQL Server. I won't talk about detail. I'll just give you list because for developers, you don't need to have in-depth knowledge of editions of SQL Server. What is what, it's more than enough. More than enough. But administrator should have in-depth knowledge of every edition of SQL Server because he is the one who makes decision of installation. He is the one who makes the installation process. He is the one who makes which version, which edition will be suitable for the project. He takes that decision. So he should have in-depth knowledge of that concept. Okay. Now, what are those editions? One is called Enterprise Edition. Edition. Two things I'll say. Two things. Each edition, I'll just give you overview on each edition. Right? Used for large scale applications. Supports all features of SQL Server. Provides what? All features of SQL Server. Second, we have Evaluation Edition. Yes. First point, remember, similar to Enterprise Edition. Plus, it is free edition. It will expire after 180 days. Yes. It is free and will expire after what? 180 days. 180 days in the sense almost 6 months. After 6 months, it will expire. And after expiry, you can't upgrade, you can't, do anything to that expired version. At that time, only option left for us is you have to uninstall the product and you have to reinstall the product. That is the only choice you will be made available. Okay. Third, we have that is called Standard Edition. Used for medium scale applications. Okay. Then fourth, Work Group Edition for small scale applications. 5. Web edition provides secure, cost effective for public websites and applications. 6. Developer edition for building, testing, and demonstrating all SQL Server functionality. Supports same features of Enterprise Edition. And finally, we have something called Express Edition. It is free edition for small web and server-based applications. And you know the issue, Express Edition, database will be limited, latest features will not be available. All are restricted. All are restricted. But this is a kind, overview kind of thing for you. Overview. One more important topic. This is also, for a developer, you should know like what are your responsibilities. Yeah, we'll talk on that first. Then I'll go with the next thing. Okay. Yeah. And what do you call? Yeah, a better call like this. Life cycle of database implementation. Right. And how the approach will be like this. First comes designing. Yes. First stage, designing. From designing, it will go to development. From development, it will go to production. Yes, approach is. Yes, I'll just point here. Designing to development, development to, what did I say? Production. Yes. This will be the approach in the database implementation. Right. What happens? First in designing, we'll talk. Designing. Planning and analyzing client requirements. Yes. First work of design. You know what is his job? Designing. This is actually called architect. Architect. Yeah. Designing. And who uses this development? Yeah. Development is for developers. SQL developers. And production is for DBS, database administrator. He works on it. Yes. So in designing, what is first point? Plan and analyze. Two things. What client requirements? So for whom your project is being developed, for whom database is being designed, database is being developed. for that particular person or for that particular company, right? You have to understand the requirements clearly. You should understand their specifications clearly. You have to plan clearly. Then you should start designing properly.
Hello.
What did I say? Designing and analyzing, both. Planning, analyzing. Once planned properly, analyzed properly, then designing will go perfectly. Designing database. Designing database. Then preparing design documents. Whatever the design that architect completes in a day, he should write in the form of documentation. Company makes a policy for an architect to compulsory. He should write document. He should write document. Preparing design documents. Then this is our profile. This one, our profile, where I'm talking about developers. What is our job? Yes, our job is implementation or implementing database. Yes. Second, coding, debugging, fine tuning, queries. Third, testing database. So we are responsible for coding. We are responsible for debugging the code. Even we are responsible for writing what? Fine-tuned queries. Fine-tuned queries that will depend on two factors. That will depend on two factors. Yeah. And what are those two factors? One is called convenient. Second is called efficient. Coming classes we have one topic practically on the day we'll discuss this in detail. Compulsory topics in development process. So definitely I'll come across with the topic in my coming classes during the discussion of other content with SQL and T-SQL. On the day I'll explain you what is the exact meaning of fine-tuning queries. And what is his job? What is his job? Database maintenance. And then we have monitoring, troubleshooting, database and server issues. Responsible even for following events. What events? Oh, make a big list actually. I list some of them. Some of them I list. 1. No downtime. Well, the never server is down. Second, no data loss. Second, no performance issues. No connectivity issues. No security problems, etc. Yes. These are additional, you can call additional. Who is responsible for this? Database administrator. DBA is responsible for all these things. That is what we have now. Designing goes perfect, then implementation go perfect. If implementation goes perfect, maintenance go perfect. If designing is wrong, implementation goes wrong. If implementation goes wrong, maintenance go wrong. That is the reason proper analyzation, proper designing should be there so that developers can implement perfectly. And based on that, they can decide. Okay, is this clear? You have any questions to ask me on this? Everyone. Okay, all right. Now, before I go further, let me make you clear even about this also. Difference between release and version. Yeah. I take some example, okay? Not necessarily that I should take only the latest one. In some example, to understand the difference, what it means. For example, if you talk about release, and on the other end, we'll talk about version. Release में I write SQL Server 2014. Yes. SQL Server 2014. That is release. In whichever year the software has been released in market. So that year is considered to be a released year. SQL Server 2014 is released. What is the version? Yes. Version is 12.0.2000 RTM. That is version. Yes. 12.0.2000. What is it? This is something called release to market. First time, whichever release, 2014, 2016, 2012, 2008, 2017, whichever release, for the first time when Microsoft releases, then it is always RTM only. That is called what? Release to market. Hmm. And in this, in this 12 is what you call major version. Yeah. 0 is what you call minor version. 2000 is what you call build or patch version. Yes. Build or patch version. 12 major, 0 minor, 2000 is build or patch version. And you know what Microsoft has done? 2014 May it is released, 2014 May. After after releasing SQL Server 2014, then Microsoft started working with the issues which people were facing in 2014. For example, assume like this. I purchased SQL Server 2014 to use it for .NET. Okay. And similarly, assume Ashutosh has purchased SQL Server 2014 to use for Java. And Raju has purchased SQL Server 2014 to use it for Python. And Mohan has purchased SQL Server 2014 to use it in, for say, for example, business intelligence tools. And Sambit has purchased SQL Server 2014 for some other reason. So all have purchased 2014 and everyone is using SQL Server 2014 for some reason. So obviously it may happen like when I'm using SQL Server 2014 for .NET, so I may not be finding some few things of 14 working for me. And same thing, Ashutosh may also face similar issue. He purchased, he has license of it. He made a payment to download that software. And obviously when that software is not supporting for his requirement, then he has authority. He is fully authorized to question Microsoft. So what Microsoft will do? Microsoft will collect all such issues from people and Microsoft will resolve those issues. And once all the issues are resolved, then remember Microsoft has introduced something called SQL Server 2014 SP1. That is called Service Pack 1. And at that time, the version was 12.0.4100. And this 2014 Service 1 was introduced in 2015. When it is released? 2000, in the year 2015. What was the version? 12.0.4100. But the 1 year Microsoft was making changes in the developed product. And after developing, means how many changes they might have done? Simple. How many changes? From release to SP1. How many? 4100 minus 2000. 4100 minus 2000. So almost you can say around 2100 changes Microsoft has made from the development, from the released year, to Service Pack 1. You understand? How many changes? 2100 changes they made. Yes, this is for your reference. to make you understand the difference between release and version. Difference between what? Release and version. For that reason. And you know one thing, another important thing, whenever Microsoft plans to develop a new version of SQL Server, remember, when that particular software is in development, internal of the company, Microsoft gives one code name to that software, code name. So SQL Server 2014, when it was in development, Microsoft has given a code name for this as Hackathon. 2012, they gave Denali. 2017, they gave Helsinki. 2019, they gave Seattle. Like that. For every software which was planned to release in some year, when that software is in development, Microsoft has given a code name to that software. Okay? That's the difference between what? Release and version. Tomorrow, one of the most important topic I'm going to start tomorrow. That would be something related with types of servers. Types of servers. Okay, that's it. Tomorrow's class will continue.